Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, decent work is a human right. It is the right to opportunities for work that is productive and delivers a fair income, security in the workplace and social protection for all, freedom for people to express their concerns, organize and participate in the decisions that affect their lives, and the right to equality and opportunity and treatment for all women and men. Because of climate change, this very human right to decent work is fundamentally challenged today. Let us start with how a changing climate will impact the world of work. We estimate that more than 2.4 billion workers, this is 70% of the total workforce, is likely to be exposed to excessive heat at some point in time. And by 2030, on a global average, 2% of the total working time and labor productivity would be lost. This comes to 80 million full-time jobs. So this is why social protection is fundamental to enhance the resilience against climate shocks, those that result from the slow onset events, we know like drought and the warming of temperatures, but also the sudden onset events like hurricanes and flooding. The good news is that in 2024, for the first time, more than half of the world population got access to a form of social security. The sad reality is that in the 20 countries most vulnerable to the climate crisis, less than 9% of their population is covered by any form of social protection. This means that from a climate resilience perspective, nations are far from achieving that human right to social protection. Investments in social protection need to be scaled up, and this must move from shock responses to institutionalized and right-based approaches. Mr. President, Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen, productive economies have the potential to deliver more and better jobs. And here we have a positive narrative. Shifting to low carbon and circular economies has the potential to generate some 100 million new jobs by 2030. And in 2023, together with the International Renewable Energy Agency, we estimated that 16 million people worked in clean energies. I want to speak about adaptation-related employment. The ILO, together with UN Environment Programme and the IUCN, have estimated that today 60 million people are currently engaged in nature-based solutions activities. And with more investments, NBS can generate up to 32 million jobs by 2030. This means that the efforts that countries and communities are putting on adaptation can be an important driver for new job creation. However, despite these prospects of important social and economic benefits, one should not underestimate the complexity and the difficulty of the transition to sustainability. Some will unavoidably lose jobs, income, and business assets, which means that policymakers and decision makers that you are in the public and private sectors must manage geographical and temporal disconnections as the economic and the job gains are not emerging in the same location and at the same time as job and income loss occurs. And this is why a just transition for all is imperative. Just transition involves maximizing the economic and social benefits of the ecological transition while minimizing and managing carefully any risk of social and economic disruption. It requires integrated policies. However, policy process is as important as policy content. A strong social consensus is indispensable to enable collective action. However, today, we face a deficit in social dialogue. Less than 20% of the nationally determined contributions to climate change include references to social dialogue. And if we turn it to firm level action, we find that only 23% of the collective bargaining agreements between workers and their employers address environmental issues. So much more has to be done on social dialogue. We need to have opportunities for reskilling and upskilling of the 78 million people that we find will be impacted in the ecological transition. So therefore, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the global climate agenda is a human story, and it is about human rights, and it is about decent work. The ambition that nations and the global community seek cannot be confined to numerical targets and indicators. The ambition must fundamentally be about people, workers with the right skills to transform our energy, transport and food systems, enterprises that innovate, develop new business models and provide society with better goods and services, and communities able to transform and diversify their economies to thrive and sustain livelihoods. All these are about political, economic, and social rights. The ILO, through its tripartite constituency and normative mandate, and through the Global Coalition for Social Justice, is engaged in promoting the right to a decent work and advancing social justice so that no one is left behind in a world battling to sustain economies, generate prosperity, and enhance human well-being for all. I thank you for your attention.